Okay, we're back, folks, and we've got a call from Philadelphia. John, are you there?
Good morning, Larry. Thanks for taking the call.
Well, always enjoy talking to you, my friend. I guess you wanted to talk about Apple.
Larry, specifically, I wanted to ask you about a couple of the NASDAQ leadership stocks and grains, specifically Apple or Amazon, Intel, Salesforce.com, ticker symbol CRM. My question on those is, can you pull up one or two of those weekly charts?
Sure, let's look at all of them. We'll start off with Apple, yes.
Fibonacci expansion patterns and see if there's any targets that any of those names are reaching, which might be a clue for a target for completion of the current rally phase.
John, I would take a look at Apple. You can see here, this is a weekly chart, and you'll see a few weeks ago, you remember in early February, we had that big sell-off into February the 9th. That was when we hit every single Fibonacci number on all the indices, either perfect 618 or 786 levels, and you can see what happened, to Apple. It was trading at an exact 78% retracement of the low from 2017, and so this market exploded out here. That was a 10% correction, John. That usually is a normal correction in a bull market, but these markets have come back so quickly from those levels that it tells you that they want to go higher. It doesn't make any difference, what the news is out of Washington or out of Dubai or any place else. I mean, they just want to go higher, and so you can't really fade it. I mean, it just really quite expected. If you take a look at Amazon, I mean, you want to find a way to to really lose all your money really fast is to try to sell this one. Now, it's okay to sell it anytime you want, as long as you have a plan to get out if you're wrong. But look at this thing. I mean, it left a huge gap, above the old highs, back in 2017. That was $1,090 a share, and we're 60% higher than that. Oh, look where it's trading. It's trading at 1616. You might want to look at it at 1618. I don't know, but there's no reason in the world. There's no.
Actually, yeah. I love that. I totally missed that. Yeah, terrific. Well, 1618. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I would put a stop at 1619. Anyway, this is a really straight up. It'll end someday, but right now it certainly doesn't want to show that. And then you also ask another one, which was Intel, which is also one that is really bullish. I mean, look at this chart here on Intel on the weekly. We're making new highs as of yesterday and again today, but let's just hold on one second here. We'll get it up here. You'll notice here that we've got a big ABCD structure going back to 2009 that's going to take this thing up to at least $55 a share, it looks like. And that's the only thing I can see on Intel. Now, that's, far lower than it was back in, 2000, but, it's still acting very, very bullish. So it's pretty hard. You can take your, yesterday I was looking at selling the S&P right up at that 2805 level. It backed off 23 points, but then again, that's, it could back off hardly at all. The Dow drops 400 points from high to low yesterday, John, and the S&P can hardly back off at all. And then this morning, there was no selling overnight. We could see it in the DAX. We could see it in the FTSE. There was just no selling coming in. And then when they announced about the Secretary of State, that should have been another one that was, slightly bearish. And look what happens. The market just turns around and goes right back up again. So it's like the old, like Roy Longstreet said, there's no mistake in staying wrong. The mistake is there's no mistake in being wrong. The mistake is in staying wrong. And so you just got to get out and, find one that's a whole lot easier to hit than that one.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for those, Larry, on Apple, Amazon, and Intel. My reason for asking you to post those weekly charts with your expansion calculations is not to be looking for short sales, but to see if there's anything that just pops up immediately that says, hey, we know this is a raging bull market in those names. Is there a price level that just jumps off jumps right out at you that says, hey, take a look at me. This is a price we want to monitor for a candidate or the possibility of a mark that will complete, a current rally phase. So that's my reason for asking. So thank you for sharing that. Larry, I wanted to change subjects and ask you on the agricultural markets, soybeans, soy meal, corn, and wheat. Is there any daily or weekly chart in which you observe a pattern that suggests some sort of trade, either long or shorts, setting up this week?
Yes, there is, John. And as a matter of fact, I'll bring it up to and take a look at it. It's the new contract soybeans, the November. And if you go back and look at this since January, when we made a perfect 61% retracement, I remember you yelling and screaming to get long at that 960 level, and I think it was 970. And you can see here that we've had a pretty good run. We had some type of a correction so far last week and then early the last 2 days, but really it doesn't even want to back off at all. With this CPI number that came out today, I think we're going to start seeing signs of inflation, which is going to be reflected in our grain markets. We've had 3 years in a row of bumper crops with virtually nothing going wrong, and John, you and I know that doesn't happen very often, so we're probably going to be looking at some type of crop problems this year, just based on the weird weather that we're seeing this winter. I mean, it's springtime in Boston on Friday, and Monday they got a snowstorm. So, it's really crazy. But this pattern in November beans, to me, is very, very bullish. I'd like to see this to come down to the 10-12 level. We're trading around 10.36 right now. So if we could get November beans down to 10.12, John, I just realized. Do you realize I just said November beans 10.12? John, for 30 years they hardly ever got above $8 or $9, and here we're talking about $10 being major support. But that's what it looks like. So it just looks like that they got a chance to get there. But the 10.12 in November beans, I think you have to look at it very, very closely.
Yeah, Larry, I will share with you. Now, I've been trading the beans, and I was trading the January beans, the March beans, back in the December-January time frame, and that dip that I'm seeing right on your daily chart, thanks for posting that, I bought that dip on the November contract. That's a new crop contract. The contract that represents crop that actually gets planted in the May time frame. Anyway, I bought into that, and I've just always found it a good practice, a profitable practice over the years, that if you get a February-March sell-off in that November contract, that's always a low-risk buy setup going into planting, regardless of whether you get ultimately a bumper crop or a crop failure or something in between.
That's true.
So I was buying into that, and thank you for posting that. Appreciate that.
John, thanks for calling in, my friend, and I hope to see you soon. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.